What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here back with the Raptors Nation podcast. Hope you're all doing well. The Raptors, they will wrap up their preseason schedule on Friday, and then the regular season will begin next week against the Cleveland Cavaliers on October 23rd. Super excited about that. In this one, I'm going to be talking about some of the things we've seen so far in the preseason, the Raptors, how they look going into next season. And also, we're going to be taking a look at ESPN's NBA rank list that did rank a couple of fellow Raptors. So we will react to the list together. Before we dive right into it, guys, do me a solid, drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content just like this. And please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your favorite podcast, Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. And yeah, make sure you guys are sub to this channel because we got a lot of content coming out, post-game videos, you name it. So you want to keep it locked and loaded on the Raptors Nation YouTube channel. All right, so I first want to talk about Scottie Barnes. He looked like peak Scottie in that game against the Boston Celtics. Scottie Barnes was in the zone. He was on fuego early on, hitting 3 after 3. He had 3 straight three-pointers in one sequence. Overall, he put up 26 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds, falling 1 rebound shy of a triple-double. I get it. It's the preseason, but you still saw a motivated, eager Scottie going up against a Celtics team that was basically playing their starters. I know they were missing Drew Holiday and Porzingis, but the Tatums and Browns of the world were playing. And Scottie Barnes, I really liked how he looked in this game. And we saw Scottie show us a little bit of more of that mid-range game, which is great to see because Scottie Barnes, we know how talented of a player he is. Is he able to become that 3-level scorer? That 3-point shot improved last season. We've seen him go to work in the paint. He even worked the elbow nicely. But then the mid-range, that's something that can really be a nice added element to Scottie Barnes' game. This is a guy who's a jack of all trades. He's going to be the Raptors' leader moving forward. And I really liked in this one when Scottie Barnes kind of picked up the pace and when the Celtics were making that comeback, Scottie unfazed, just wanted to go to work. He wanted to put the pressure on the Celtics as they made their comeback. And you can see that Barnes, he just wanted to win. He got upset a little bit. So Scottie Barnes, we know the Raptors are only going to go as far as he takes them. And it's really nice to see the progressions he has made with his offensive game. And you just hope this can, carry on over into the season. And he can be an even better version of himself. And Darko Rajakovic, he did talk about Scottie Barnes' offensive game and basically what he wants to see him get better at. He was asked about, should Scottie be taking mid-range jump shots when it is, statistically a lower shot that you should take on your shot chart compared to the 3-ball. And this is what Darko Rajakovic said. For him, it's now recognizing when that shot makes sense, referring to the mid-range shot, and when that shot does not make sense. If you want to develop an all-star level player, he needs to become a 3-level scorer. He needs to be able to be at the rim, shooting threes, but also playing in that mid-range. He cannot just fall in love with that and becomes like part of the offense that makes our offense stagnant. But also, when we need a bucket and we need to put the ball in his hands, him being able to get to those sweet spots and knock down those shots. And I think for Barnes, that is the next part of his game. We know he can go to work in the post. We know he's improved that 3-point shot. But can Barnes now be that player that Darko just alluded to, that when you need a bucket in crunch time, you give him the ball and he's able to work his way to his spots, whether it be the elbow, the mid-range? Can he be that quote-unquote superstar type player who demands the ball in those big moments and will deliver and go to work? And that's the thing about Scottie. I thought his efficiency was really good in this game. It was nice to see that 3-ball drop. If Scottie is able to become that 3-level scorer, there's no limit to how good he can be. And that's what makes Scottie Barnes special. He's not just a defensive anchor. He's not just the guy who's going to crash the glass and get you double-digit rebounds or set up his teammates. He can also be that guy who can take over a game, get to his spots, and let the defense pay for their mistakes. So Scottie Barnes, I think, still has a lot of room to grow offensively. And this season, we want to see a new area of his offense unlocked. So it was nice to see that new version of Scottie, that aggressive chip on the shoulder, I'm going to make you pay, you're not coming back on my watch type of Scottie Barnes. And if that offense continues to evolve and it looks more like the Scottie that we saw in that December stretch. Remember when he had that classic showing against Wemby and the Spurs? If that can come to the forefront going into the season with now a supporting cast around him, at least when you talk about the starters, we may see a very good, solid version of Scottie, a version of Scottie that we have never seen before. So I think for Scottie Barnes, it's just about learning when to take shots, not trying to do too much, and just be a smart offensive player. And really, in this game against the Celtics, we saw Scottie take pieces of his game and put forth a very beautiful performance where he was not only getting his, but he was also setting up his teammates as well and being that floor general at times, kind of that staple to how the Raptors offense looked. So Scottie Barnes, he seems to be 100%, which is great to see. Had the season-ending surgery March 1st. You just wanted him to get back, round into form, use this preseason to get those reps in. He's done just that, coming off his best preseason game by far. Going to see Scottie a bit more in the Raptors' last preseason game against the Brooklyn Nets. And for Scottie, it's about getting his body right, get back to the speed of the game, but he looks A-okay. He looks like a guy that we saw last season, and he looks like he's in midseason form. So that's really, really good to see the confidence start to showcase itself, and you start to see Scottie really come into his own as that all-star caliber player. And that's going to be important. We want to see that all-star play from Scottie early in the season. And obviously this preseason's meant for him to get back into rhythm and really get back into the thing of things. So I thought, Scottie just played wonderfully against the Celtics. And speaking of the Raptors' last preseason game against the Nets, Emmanuel quickly hopefully will get some run. He is still listed as questionable. Darko Rajakovic telling reporters after practice today that we're going to see they're going to see how Quickly feels before they make a decision on his availability. So that's Emmanuel Quickly. We have not seen him yet in the preseason. He's still working his way back from a thumb injury. RJ Barrett's been out. He's probably going to miss the start of the season, which is not good, but hopefully he can get back soon. Jacoby Walter, Bruce Brown, they're probably going to miss some time to begin the season as well. Again, nothing made official as of yet, but I think for Emmanuel Quickly's case, it is positive to see that he is questionable, and I would love to see Quickly get run in that game against the Nets, but if not, I think Quickly will be available for next week, worst case scenario. So that's good. At least the Raptors can get another starter back in their starting lineup, and we can see how this team looks with that 5-man starting lineup. Because we saw, that duo of Grady Dick and Scottie Barnes was fabulous to see, and we saw how this starting lineup can be a capable one. I know there's question marks about the bench, but when you look at the Raptors starting 5, it looks pretty good. And it looks like one that can be a lot of fun this season. And, when you talk about barbecue, they've had a limited sample size together. And then if you want to add Grady Dick to that, it's an even more limited sample size. It's only like a couple of minutes that we've seen barbecue play alongside Grady Dick. So that's what I really want to see. That's what Raptors fans want to see. We want to see how this new look starting lineup goes. We want to see how these guys are going to complement each other and play well. We saw a little bit of it with Scottie and Grady kind of doing their thing. I thought their chemistry was very strong. Grady impressed me a lot, showing that he's more than just a spot up corner 3 shooter, put the ball on the deck. He was also going to work with those, mid-range jump shots, those pull-up jump shots. I thought he was especially good, getting to the rim, finishing in and around contact. So that's really good stuff from Grady Dick. And I think, Darko wants to see more of that Grady can be more than just a spot up 3-point shooter, but also that's going to be counted on too. It was nice to see Grady Dick kind of have that hot quarter where he didn't miss a shot, because he's going to get clean open looks when you got guys like RJ and Scottie pushing tempo, getting downhill, going to be creating on the fly. And that's going to leave guys like Grady Dick open, expected to hit those threes. So that's the thing. I want to see how everything's going to come together. We also got to give Jakob Poeltl a ton of credit. He looks to be like the Jakob Poeltl of old. He looks really good and has looked really good in this preseason. He was especially good against the Celtics. We know this basketball team's much better with a healthy Poeltl. So you talk about Poeltl, you talk about Barnes, Quickly, RJ getting back into the mix, Grady Dick showing you more of his offensive game. Obviously, he still has ways to go in terms of making up for that defensive lapse in his game, but he did show some nice improvement in his defense in that first preseason game, at least. But there's the makings of a really nice starting five here. And I think these guys will be able to complement each other well. And you need to be able to hit shots. The Raptors are one of the worst 3-point shooting teams. They struggle with the 3-point shot early in the preseason. You're going to have to hit threes. And Grady Dick, you're going to have to be that guy. The Raptors lost their best 3-point shooter in Gary Trent Jr., making way for Grady Dick. And let's see if, Grady Dick can make the most out of this opportunity. But I think for Dick, it's really nice that you see more than just him hitting, shots. You want to see him kind of, his off-ball movement's been really good. Get to the ball, put it on the deck, get to his spots as well, take it inside. So I think, from that perspective, it's been really nice to see, especially in that Celtics game. I mean, that was arguably Grady Dick's best game in a Raptors uniform. So Grady, he looked really good. Scottie looks to be back into form quickly, nearing a return. RJ, hopefully he doesn't have anything taken off from him. We saw RJ in that first preseason game. He looked like a guy who was on a mission. He was off to an amazing start. We know the type of summer he had, so hopefully this injury isn't a setback for him, because I thought RJ was ready to come in and really take the season by storm. And then Jakob Poeltl looks healthy as well. So the starting five, it looks promising, guys. I'm excited to see what the starting five can do over the course of a season, over the course of a longer sample size. But of course, you need the five to get back. So hopefully RJ's back soon, because it seems like opening night, unfortunately, RJ will not be ready for that. But the Raptors should have 4 out of their 5 pieces in play. So if RJ doesn't start, it seems likely that Abaji is going to get that start. We've seen him in a starter's role. He's coming off arguably his best game in a Raptors uniform, where his offensive game, his shot was finally dropping. And that's really good to see, because Abaji, he plays defense well, but when it comes to his offense, you need to be able to hit shots and produce if you want to stay on the floor. And he finally had that offensive game that you want to see from him. And if he can do that more consistently going forward and mesh more into that 3-and-D type player, that's going to be a key of this rotation. Abaji is definitely going to get minutes, even though he's going to come from off the bench when RJ is integrated back into things. But for Abaji, I think that's huge for him to work off of. And then Davion Mitchell as well. He hit 3 threes. If that perimeter shot can start to fall with consistency, that's going to make him just that much more valuable, because we know his point of attack defense is solid. We know his on-ball defense. He's one of the best on-ball defenders in the game today. We know he's showcased really good playmaking chops. So if Mitchell can hit that 3 consistently, he's going to be just a huge addition to this team. And Darko kind of alluded to that we're not going to see 3-point guards. He was asked that today. So it does look like, as of now, Emmanuel Quickley is going to shoulder most of that role. And then Davion Mitchell looks more than capable of being his backup. Shed obviously has played well this preseason, but it's going to come down to hitting shots, hitting the 3 for this Raptors team. The offense not looking stagnant. So if Grady can provide that starting lineup, and then those bench guys that I just named can hit their shots when they need to, the Raptors might not look that bad in this season, especially when they are going to have a tougher start to their schedule. So, guys, I mean, preseason has been, one of those things that we've seen the worst of the worst from this team, but also we've seen a lot of good. And I think a prime example of that was their matchup against the Celtics, coming off 2 bad defeats where you look pretty lifeless and you look pretty bad. You are able to put up a really good effort and performance against a Celtics team that was playing their guys. So I think that's something you can build off going into the season. And we know the Raptors start of the season is going to be tough. So you cannot have your worst performances out of the gate. You got to be primed to come out with your best punch. So I think it's important for the Raptors to finish up strong tomorrow against the Nets and really carry that momentum to the start of the season. So let me know what your thoughts have been, guys, when it comes to the Raptors starting 5. And how do you think this rotation will look ultimately with some of the pieces that we have seen? There's going to be decisions to be made. I think Battle has looked good. He's probably going to get a roster spot. When you talk about Jacoby Walter, when he gets back into things, that's a guy who the Raptors have brought in for his shooting. So don't forget about him. Kelly Olynyk, we know all the good things he can bring. So we'll see if the Raptors can kind of piece this thing together and if this team can get off to a better start, a lot better than what people think. Finally here, guys, I did want to talk about ESPN's NBA rank list, which is always highly anticipated for better or for worse. There's always a lot of mixed reactions when these lists come out. And for the most part, a lot of people taking aim at ESPN because there are a lot of questionable decisions. But I'm not going to worry about the list as a whole. I'm only going to zone in on the Raptors players that they have in this list. And honestly, I thought they ranked the Raptors players pretty fairly. And let's first start with Emmanuel Quickley. I thought Emmanuel Quickley was given a very fair ranking with, Emmanuel Quickley coming into his first full season as a starter for the Toronto Raptors. They ranked him 64th. And, this was ahead of the likes of Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine, Tyler Hero. So, I mean, this is a really good ranking, if you ask me. I think this is a very fair for Emmanuel Quickley. And obviously, I think this ranking is more so based on the potential and what they think Quickley can become in his first full season as a starter. Yeah, I think this is a very fair rating for Emmanuel Quickley. This is definitely the highest rating I've seen of Quickley. And I did not expect ESPN to be the ones that issue this pretty solid ranking of Quickley. I think this is going to be a big season for Quickley. Obviously, a lot more is going to be on his plate, and we can really see Quickley show you something over the course of a season here. Obviously, the Raptors give him that big contract because they think he can blossom into something special. It's based on his potential, and we'll see how this ranking looks after the season's done. RJ came in just before Franz Wagner and OG Anunoby. RJ's at 53. So his rank last year was 71. Again, RJ expected to have a big year with this Raptors team. Look much different, much more aggressive. That shot was falling down with more consistency coming on over from New York. And I think 53 is fair as well. I think RJ, he is underrated in many conversations. This is a guy who I think his best basketball is in front of him. I think the Knicks misused him. And I think this is a big opportunity for RJ because he's going to be much more involved with the offense and with this Raptors team identity. Whereas with the Knicks, he was they were just hoping he was going to be a 3-and-D type player. But RJ has shown that he's more than that. He's a guy who you can count on to get a bucket. He's a guy who you can count on to get hot during the game. So I think this was another fair ranking from ESPN's list. And then finally, Scottie Barnes. Where is Scottie Barnes? They have him ranked 35th. So big increase from last season. He was ranked 63rd. Barnes ahead of the likes of Mikal Bridges, Trae Young, Brandon Ingram, former Raptor Pascal Siakam, and Boston Celtics Kristaps Porzingis. You can even make a case that Barnes should be higher on this list because when you look at the guys in front of him, Rudy Gobert, Markkanen, Chet Holmgren, that's debatable. Jamal Murray, Karl Anthony Towns, Sabonis. Okay, that's probably where you draw the line, at least for now. But yeah, you can make an argument that Barnes could be higher on this list. And I said on X, I'll say it here. I think when it's all said and done after the season, guys, Barnes is going to enter that top 25 conversation, that top 25 list. Because, for instance, you look at Paolo Banchero, he's ranked 24th. And that's a guy who Barnes is commonly compared to. And their games are so similar, their numbers as well. So if Paolo's at 24 after his second season, I think Barnes after his fourth season is going to be in the top 25 of this list going to next season, especially when you see that there's guys like George at 21, Kawhi, who's been decimated with injuries, guys who are up there with age, Kyrie, De'Aaron Fox. Obviously, he's not as old as other guys, but these are guys that maybe Barnes can overcome or overtake in terms of the rankings. So, that's my prediction. I think Barnes will enter the top 25 undoubtedly after the season, after what he shows us. But overall, I thought these rankings were very fair. Emmanuel Quickley, I was very surprised by it. I'll be honest. Not to say that I thought Quickley was going to be a lot lower on the list, but I did not think that ESPN was going to rank him 64th. So again, it just goes based on the potential of Quickley, and this is going to be a really good indication of how good he can be in his first full season as a starter. I thought RJ's was fair at 53. And then Scottie Barnes could have been a little bit higher when you talk about some of those names in front of him. But overall, I think they got it right. I thought this was a nice ranking from the Raptors perspective. Other players, very debatable. But with these three in particular, I thought ESPN got it right. So let me know your thoughts of the ranking, guys. Let me know your thoughts of some of the talking points from today. Scottie Barnes, how good of a season do you think he's going to have? What's your optimism level at with this Raptors team going into the season? And yeah, let me know your full thoughts down below. Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your favorite podcast. That is it for me. It's Lucas signing off. We'll be back at it again when the Raptors take on the Nets in their last preseason game. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all again in the next one.